Alright guys, so I'm gonna be explaining how these sway bar links work. If you hear a little clunking noise, going over little speed bumps, potholes, and so forth, especially the little smallest little potholes, and you hear a little clunking noise, metal to metal, especially from the passenger or driver's side, then most likely it is your sway bar link, which is basically this. So, basically when you have the tire on and you're trying to wiggle it, of course it's going to be very stiff. There's a lot of pressure behind it. One way you can find out is removing both tires. So I removed the driver and the passenger side. So one way to distinguish whether it is your sway bar, it's not just by kind of just, wiggling it around like this or up and down. You won't know. So one way you could differentiate that is, now if you could twist it, basically twist it like that, your bearings are shot inside your sway bar link. You're not supposed to be able to do that. So one way I'm gonna show you guys that is remove the other one from the passenger side. This one's still here on the driver, so I'll let you guys see that. So one way you could differentiate that also is basically this moves around. So you can move this around freely with your thumb. Now, a brand new one has a lot of tension to it, so you won't be able to move it at all. See? So you have to really force it to be able to move it. So this is still the brand new one, and this is the old one that's on the vehicle. I could move that easily. You shouldn't be able to do that. So what's happening is when you go to over little speed bumps, potholes, this will clunk. So it's gonna make a clicking noise, clunking noise, and that's basically gonna be hitting on the so where you see that sway bar is, this will clunk, push it down. So it's gonna be hitting around, moving a little bit more movement than you should have. So one way you could differentiate that is basically put some, pressure, like kind of twist this. You can twist it, then basically your sway bar link is shot. So hopefully that explains, whether you change it and then next thing you're gonna hear a little clunking noise. It's because you gotta be careful when you torque this down. So when you put a torque bit here, gotta hold that tight. While you're holding that tight, you screw it on. You screw on this bolt basically. So you're gonna be applying a little pressure on this while you're holding this back as well. Because now, if you try to put all the pressure on this bolt, this is gonna damage the bearings that's inside. It's gonna twist it and turn it. So you don't want to do that. So hopefully this video helps explain it a little bit better and for you to install it a little bit more better properly. So just be careful when you're twisting, turning, tightening this, because you don't want to wear this out quickly. I think I had this on the vehicle for about, let's say 2 years, 2.5 years, give or take, since the last time I changed this. So it is about time, especially the road conditions that I've been driving in this vehicle. It's pretty bad out there. So a lot of road work going on. So I could imagine it's gone bad within 2.5 years, which is not bad. I mean, usually, depending on your road conditions, sometimes it could go out in as quick as a year. And as well as depends on how you drive your vehicle. Looks like the brakes getting a little bit worn down. Alright, so I'm gonna explain a little bit how to remove it. So I know most people are gonna have a hard time. This one is a 18mm nut. So I'm gonna use the 18mm that I have. So basically, when you're struggling so much that you can't even, loosen it, because basically to loosen it, you have to go that way. I would suggest using a hammer, nothing metal, just try to use a little wood one and apply a little bit of pressure, just push it out that way. That's all you got to do, and to be able to loosen it. All right, so I showed you guys that part. See, the bottom is not that hard. I mean, you can hit it with the hammer, which is down there. And don't worry about damaging this sway bar link because it's already broken. So Once you loosen this, basically just remove it. I should have showed you guys this in the beginning. So if you notice how you try to hand tighten the nut itself and you can't go any further. So these nuts have a little hinge part where it's like a locking nut, so it locks in place. So in case you worry about it coming off loose, it won't. If you're so worried about it, I would suggest using blue thread locks, not the red one. The red one's a little bit harder to remove, so you don't want to use that. Use the blue thread locks. It'll help to keep it in place from all the vibration that you're going through, and it'll be great on that. So next thing I'm gonna show you guys, I should have showed you how to actually tighten this properly. So since this is broken, you can't really wrench it out using just one wrench. You're gonna have to use a torque bit T40. So that's what I basically have. I'll show you guys that real quick too as well. Probably showed it in my last video. So it's a torque bit T40. Wait, that's kind of hard to see right there. So you want to use that because basically if you don't, I'm gonna show you guys what's gonna happen. It's just gonna spin along with the whole thing, so you're never gonna get it out. So that's what those little hinges are for, just to keep the nut in place and for it to, you know, basically come off. But since the bearings are shot in this, so what I'm gonna do is remove it. So I'm gonna be twisting it. Alright, so I'm just gonna hold it, just doing that. So basically just hold this in place and just kind of twist and turn. You'll eventually get it out. Alright, so I'm gonna show you guys how to lock this in place. So since it's a 17 millimeter, I will use the 17. So I gotta make sure that, you know, I'm getting it the right way though. I'm not loosening it. Oh, so that way it's getting loosened. So I'm gonna tighten it a little bit, just a little, to where I can't tighten it anymore. So I'm gonna apply the T40 torque bit. So I'm gonna apply it where I can actually have some kind of leverage. So it's good to have this little tool, because then I could twist it however way I want to in any kind of position. So that way it's gonna be holding in place. So now what I want to do is basically just tighten it, just using this. So I'm gonna be applying pressure on the other wrench, so that way it doesn't twist along when I'm turning it a certain direction. So once I do that, I'm basically bringing it closer, as you can see. So that's what you want to do. You want to hold this place, the little thread with the torque bit, and then basically use another wrench. What's that adjustable wrench? Just like this. And that's how you're going to lock this in place without damaging the bearings inside. You don't want to damage it, otherwise you're going to end up breaking this and keep purchasing another one and another one after that. You don't want to do that. So that's how you're going to tighten it, basically. So I'm going to tighten this just a little bit because I don't want to, you know, force this, and then next thing this thing kind of moves up on the top. So I'm going to leave that as is. So that's how you guys are going to tighten that down. So the same process with the top area as well. So you're going to do that same process. Just apply the same amount of pressure and make sure it's tight. You want to reuse that wrench, the adjustable wrench, to tighten it down. And while you're tightening it down, you're going to notice that there's going to be a pressure applied that is counteracting with the torque bit socket. So it's going to go towards the other direction where you're kind of forcing it to tighten. Kind of hold it back out of place so it doesn't break. You don't want to break those bearings again. So hopefully this video really helps you guys out. If you guys got any further questions, let me know. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you guys, and don't forget to subscribe.